Stellaris has been around for a while, and although it receives constant updates, in many ways it's still limited. This is Stellaris Evolved by Rodahtnov and MrRoAdd, a total overhaul aiming to expand upon the game while respecting the game's design and balance. From reworked vanilla mechanics to brand new additions, it offers a vast array of features. The mod is still in alpha stages of development, and new things are actively being added, so keep in mind that its contents are subject to change. The first thing a player does is empire creation, and Stellaris Evolved adds a ton of new features to fulfill your fantasies and create some truly unique empires. The ethics wheel has been expanded by elitist pluralist, competitive cooperative, and ecologist industrialist axes. Because of that, the amount of ethic points has been raised to 5 for more complex choices. Ethics can be customized in-game with ethic policies. Materialists can increase their chances of discovering text from different fields, whereas industrialists get free policies revolving around different aspects of industry. Gestalt empires also have their own ethos, acting as different motivations guiding the collective. They all get distinct mechanical bonuses, like the overconsumption ethic for example, which gets new decisions to boost resource production at the cost of other resources. All ethic descriptions were redesigned to be more visually appealing so that the player knows their impact. Evolved adds over 100 new civics, which gives you more flexibility and more opportunities for role-playing. Many existing civics were reworked from the ground up, so they no longer provide flat bonuses. Instead, they have their own interesting mechanics. For example, catalytic processing instead of a simple job replacement also makes food processing facilities increase the output of catalytic technicians. Many base game civics received new variants for different empire types, in order to fill in the gaps left by Stellaris. Civic descriptions have also been streamlined, making it easier to determine what each civic does. Furthermore, all civics have been divided into categories based on their features, with symbols attached to them for better organization. One of the more interesting categories are origin civics, which alter or enhance playstyles of specific origins in order to expand upon their themes or give them a new twist. For instance, the Wastelander civic for post-apocalyptic/remnants origins adds ruins that can be scavenged or restored for resources. Other origins with unique civics include Mechanist, Syncretic Evolution, Life-Seeded, and even Prosperous Unification. On top of that, they are compatible with other modded origins. In Stellaris, hive minds and machines have limited options when it comes to civics. Luckily, with Evolved, that's no longer the case. Eusociality lets you roleplay as an insect-like hive mind with a brood queen in charge of the hive, and various brood lords responsible for reproduction and ensuring the hive's safety. Thought Harvesters lets you turn non-hive mind pops into mental slaves, completely subdued to the collective. Aggressive Agglomerate makes your hive extremely hostile and gives you policies to ensure your galactic domination. Machines get Directive and Cluster Civics. Directive Civics determine the focus of your machine intelligence and improve prime drones, whereas Cluster Civics add unique primary drone jobs which have different applications. New authorities were also added to bring more variety into the game. Empires with AI-administered authorities have a super intelligent AI controlling the state, with public officials selected to control the masses. There are 2 variants for regular and megacorp empires. With them, your government consists of a machine ruler and 3 AI nodes, whereas other positions are occupied by regular leaders. Councillors use AI capacity for upkeep and gaining experience. To obtain this resource, you can place administration data centers. Council positions cannot be filled with new leaders. To do that, you have to either unlock a new council slot or fragment the ruler AI node in the government tab for 500 unity and 10 AI capacity, provided that your AI capacity income is greater or equal to 10. You can choose 3 leader classes and later determine the node's ethics, regenerate the node's traits with Unity, or reset the alignment and start from scratch. When you're done, click on any node and replace it with a new one. If you have galactic administration, you can create planetary AI nodes to govern your colonies by placing the planetary node center, which initiates the fragmentation process when built. Agendas can also be used to refragment the ruler AI node or to remove negative traits. Keep in mind, however, that ruler AI refragmentation lowers its level by a half, and negative trait removal costs you experience for each deleted trait. The Hivemind Authority has received 2 variants. Biological swarms, on top of being a collective, are also an extension of a larger living body, with each organism serving a predetermined purpose until they expire. Their main focus is biological evolution rather than technological development. On regular planets, they receive a unique district set as well as gestation districts, increasing food output, plant capacity, and most importantly pop assembly. Gestation districts add germinated drone jobs, which contribute similar bonuses. This means their pop growth is a lot faster, and you'll have to be careful not to overpopulate your planets. Biological swarms rely heavily on food. Because of that, a lot of resource costs and upkeeps require food instead of minerals or alloys. Therefore, you will have to optimize your plants differently and specialize them in food production. Their menial districts also add an additional job, and their empire size from pops is reduced by 2% per ruler skill level. Cybernetic collectives are connected with a network of cybernetic implants, and compared to their biological counterparts, they are focused on enhancing themselves with cybernetics. They cannot use spawning pools, however they can assimilate pops and turn them into drones. Because they also have the Cyberk trait, half of their pop upkeep uses energy instead. Their empire size from planets is reduced by a half, and Cyberk, as well as robot pops, have increased output. Other authorities include Theocracy, a spiritualist variant of the Imperial Authority, Patrimonial Corporation, an Imperial Megacorp variant, as well as Direct Democracy, activated by a pluralist, egalitarian ethic combo, or fanatic egalitarian ethic when using the Democratic Authority. Evolved also adds a number of new traits for more flavor. Some of them offer basic positive or negative bonuses. Certain traits, however, are more complex. Identity traits revolve around a species' evolution or development, and they have a significant impact on their way of life. They are also more expensive for empires not owning them at the beginning. Metamorphosis makes a newly created pop undergo a cycle from larvae to adulthood, with each stage having different effects that are amplified for arthropoid species. Another interesting trait is celestial panspermia. Every time a pop is generated, there is a 20% chance of a blocker generating on a close by or a faraway planet, which upon clearing generates a pop. There are also negative identity traits, predatory evolution, decaying decomposition, and necrotic zombification have a 10 to 30% chance of a different pop getting consumed, purged, or zombified every time a pop is generated. Other additions include portraits, flag colors, as well as 2 origins. Clone Nation is similar to Clone Army, except your nation is entirely made up of clones, which greatly affects your pop growth and lifespan. Genomic Shapers, on the other hand, gives you additional bioconstruct pops as your servants, with the ability to build more. With all of the aforementioned features, there is unlimited potential for future playthroughs and role-playing sessions, enhancing the game's replayability even more. Now that we covered the Empire tab, we're gonna talk about gameplay mechanics. As soon as you start the game, you will notice industrial districts have been separated, and now there are foundry and factory districts, respectively for alloys and consumer good production. Planets get up to 18 building slots, and capitals can be upgraded 4 times, with the Galactic Capital Complex requiring 75 pops. Machine capitals now provide prime cluster drones, which scale with capital upgrades. They can also be turned into a production or extraction nexus with new decisions. The extraction nexus disables industrial/habitation districts and automates basic resource production districts at the cost of housing, jobs, and capital pop assembly. The production nexus, on the other hand, increases the output of complex drones in exchange for capital pop assembly and access to basic resource production districts. Other buildings also receive new additions. For instance, buildings for basic resource production and strategic resources have 3 tiers, with the last tier using either living metal or nanites for upkeep. Because of that, a new source of nanites and living metal was introduced. Nano-replicators require the knowledge to exploit strategic resources and colonial centralization, whereas living metal farms need holographic casts and colonial centralization as well. 2 upgradable buildings were introduced for mineral and energy production. They add more technician and miner jobs, similarly to hydroponic farms. Megacorps get private buildings. They are miniature versions of existing ones, with halved resource outputs and upkeeps in exchange for trade value production. Also, strategic resource buildings from resource deposits are now planet unique. They also boost the production of the specific resource, while also providing jobs equal to the amount of previously unknockable buildings on vanilla. Moving on from planets, starbases get new modules and buildings for resource production, from basic resources to research. However, the modules also lower starbase hull points by 10%, so use them wisely. Starbase weapon modules get secondary tiers, with more weapon slots and improved statistics. What's really neat is that outdated modules get instantly upgraded, letting you save alloys for other investments. Another feature I would like to mention are bioconstructs. They are lifeforms created from scratch, highly adaptable to any environment or task. They can be assembled with biotailoring chambers or grown like any pop if the genophage trait is removed. To unlock bioconstructs, you have to research genome mapping. Afterwards, you can research 2 technologies, offering additional tiers for biotailoring chambers and allowing bioconstructs to occupy higher ranking jobs. New policies can also be used to configure bioconstruct rights. Also, once you unlock bioconstructs or robots, an event appears allowing you to pick their appearance based on species type. Changes have also been made to habitable structures. Starting with Ringworlds, they have a new district set similar to planet districts, with each district increasing its resource output by 5%. On top of that, Ringworlds now have specializations. Civil sections equip the Ringworld with a district set for strategic resources, research, unity, and edict funds, whereas fabrication sections get a district set for consumer goods, alloys, naval capacity, / other military related bonuses. Each section gets leisure and commercial segments, and you can switch between sections anytime you wish. The Shattered Ring origin has also been reworked. There are more ancient rubble blockers and 2 additional ones, requiring a big amount of alloys and other things to be removed. Section structural damage requires anti-gravity engineering to be cleared out, whereas extreme section structural damage requires mega engineering and all previous blockers cleared. With the home segment restored, you will find a way to remove the interloper, allowing you to repair the damaged segment and enjoy a fully restored Ringworld. Habitats now have a new district tied to Subhabitats. They are kilostructures with a limit of 3 per system, providing the habitats similar district and building slot bonuses as major orbitals, adapting their resource output to the celestial body they're built on. For instance, a subhabitat built around a planet containing a mineral deposit will produce minerals and also unlock astromining base. In case of non-resource providing ice asteroids, gas giants, and frozen worlds, subhabitats provide food and unlock food districts. The new district adds megastructural logistician jobs, which boost subhabitat resource output and the output of all types of megastructures present in the system. Orbitals also increase subhabitats resource output if built on a resource deposit. Branch offices have more slots, and they now have capitals linked to the host's planet. Branch office capitals have 3 tiers, and each upgrade unlocks additional slots and increases the output of corporate holdings for the megacorp and the host. Corporate holdings no longer provide regular jobs, instead they add private hired worker jobs, producing resources appropriate to their building. Evolved also allows megacorps to open branch offices inside other megacorps if you have the cooperative sub-branching Civic. Machines and hive minds can establish branch offices if they have the following civics. To do that, they don't need a commercial pact, instead they need good relations or to be in a federation with the host empire. Gestalt branch offices have similar mechanics to regular ones, with the exception of holdings, which provide modifiers for the host empire and the collective. If you're a machine empire, you can utilize trade value with the trading software Civic, which lets you make commercial pacts. However, if you combine it with embedded cooperation, you will need commercial pacts to establish corporate holdings. A lot of Evolved's features lie in the Society Management tab. Starting with traditions, many of them were rebalanced, so you will have to reconsider which traditions are worthy of picking. For example, the Discovery Tree Finisher no longer increases your research speed. Instead, you have a 10% chance of getting a random guaranteed research option with 25% progress added after you research 5 technologies from each area. This is only a single example, and more changes have been made. Besides balance changes, Evolved introduces Tier 2 tradition trees, unlocked after specific vanilla traditions are finished. With Tier 2 tradition trees, you can choose 1 out of 3 paths to conclude a chosen tree, and select bonuses you find most useful. On top of that, each of them unlock unique mechanics as finisher effects. Outreach introduces Protoworlds, a mechanic allowing you to convert barren worlds into regular planets using the Protoworld array. After the array is completed, the planet slowly turns into a colonizable protoworld. Protoworlds have unique districts controlling the terraforming process. Magnetic ionizators contribute towards artification, carbonate processors contribute towards cooling, whereas biosphere domes contribute towards ossification of the planet. To achieve a desired planet class, you have to fill out a district type, or combine them instead to get desired results. This requires a lot of time and invested resources, and although this may seem like a primitive terraforming method, it's worth it in the end. As you build more districts, several notifications will show up regarding the planet's climate until this event appears, indicating that the terraforming process has started. After that, you can either wait 20 years to complete terraforming, use a decision to speed up the process, or halt it. Upon completion, the planet turns into a desired planet class, and all districts will be replaced by default ones. Artifice gives you Elysian rings as a research option. Elysian rings are meant to be a hybrid of habitats and Ecumenopoli. They boost your colony's trade value and amenities, and they can be specialized in 3 ways. By default, they produce basic resources, but with the naval specialization, they can increase naval capacity, spawn defense armies, and increase ship build speed. With the administrative specialization, they produce research and edict funds. Other Tier 2 traditions include Centrality, which adds a modifier improving stability on core sector worlds, and at the same time increasing crime and lowering trade value further from the core sector. It also adds an agenda, which offers some good bonuses to your planet's infrastructure. Invention introduces breakthroughs, rare technologies exclusive to your empire for a period of time, which can later spread to neighboring empires. Might unlocks the next ship design technology as a research option, bypassing all prerequisites, and if all ship types are unlocked, it provides 2 random repeatable technologies related to the Navy. There's also the Control Tradition, which adds countermeasures preventing espionage-related activities. However, this feature was not implemented at the time I'm recording this video. Evolved also changes Ascension perks and ties some of them into paths. The first tier of the Starbase path starts with the Casting Ascension perk, which increases Starbase capacity and lowers the upgrade cost. You have to choose between Grasp the Void and Eternal Vigilance Ascension perks. Picking one of them forbids you from getting the other, so choose wisely. Grasp the Void boosts resource production modules, and with this perk, they no longer impact hull integrity. In fact, they increase it. The perk also increases mining station output and sublight speed. Eternal Vigilance increases home territory fire rate, defense platform damage, and commander capacity. On top of that, each advanced Starbase module boosts Starbase/defense platform hull and armor points. The World Shaper Ascension perk is now a part of the Terraforming path, alongside Hive Worlds and Machine Worlds Ascension perks, so if you're a Gestalt Empire, you can now choose between 2 perks. The Sidereal Arcologies perk unlocks 2 decisions to specialize fully upgraded habitats with all habitat districts filled. Civilian Arcologies have a district set for research, unity, and edict fund, whereas industrial arcologies specialize in alloy and consumer good production. Both also get districts for trade value and amenities. Arcologies also get new specialization options. Academic Arcologies specialize in research and strategic resource production. The Refinery District can produce all 3 resources, or it can focus on a single one, leading to a large output. This can be configured with decisions, which can be switched at any time. Administrative Arcologies specialize in consumer goods and unity/edict fund production. Military Arcologies can produce alloys, and they have a district increasing naval capacity and stability, which also spawns defense armies. Similarly to Academic Arcologies, the district can be replaced with naval docks, which produce more naval capacity at the expense of fewer armies per pop. Spiritualist and Rogue Servitor Empires get their own variants for specific districts, and if you're a fanatic ecologist, you cannot make Ecumenopoli. Ecumenopoli and Sidereal Arcology specializations are not reversible, so think twice before picking a decision. Mastery of Nature also unlocks Ecoworlds. They are another arcology type, which preserve planetary features and planet class. To create them, you need to clear all blockers and have at least one basic resource production district type fully occupied. After enacting the decision, industrial districts will be replaced with cultural arcologies, producing unity and amenities. The planet will get improved districts for basic resource production. These districts can be improved with decisions, which make them provide additional resources like alloys, consumer goods, and research at the cost of strategic resource upkeep. Ecoworlds also get a modifier boosting plant capacity, resources from jobs, and pop growth speed. Empires with ecologist ethics get Ecoworlds without Mastery of Nature, however, they need the perk in order to specialize them. On the other hand, industrialist empires cannot create Ecoworlds at all. Other Ascension perks received minor changes. The Void Burn Ascension perk is available without habitats, and if you select it before unlocking them, it gives you the habitat tech as a research option. Building the first habitat will add the second habitat tech, and so on. Technological Ascendancy and One Vision increase research speed/unity production by 5%, but every decade the percentage increases by 1 until it reaches 10%. Evolved greatly expands upon Ascension paths. In the base game, you choose an Ascension perk and complete an Ascension tradition tree, and that's basically it. With Evolved, Ascensions are more complex, but also more modular. This gives the player a unique experience. allowing you to roleplay many fantasies that were previously impossible in the game. In Evolved, after you select a Tier 1 Ascension perk, a situation begins with different approaches from slowest to fastest. At a certain point, you can choose a sub-path, changing the course of the situation. You can choose the vanilla-based Ascension or a unique alternative path. Alternative paths are not implemented at the time I'm making this video, but they will be sometime in the future. The situation unlocks an Ascension tradition tree, and with the tree completed and a gate event, you can choose a second Ascension perk. You can pick a Tier 2 Ascension, perfecting existing improvements, or a hybrid Ascension, taking advantage of two paths at once. Similarly, a situation will start with more options to configure your Ascension. Keep in mind that as I'm making this video, Ascension mechanics are still being worked on, and you might see some to-do Ascension text in events and tooltips. Certain mechanics/features may change, be added or removed. Either way, this introduction to Ascension mechanics should make them clearer for players and hint at possible changes/new features in the future. Now that you're familiar with the concept, let's take a closer look at each Ascension. Starting with Biological Ascension, aka Genetics, the Engineered Evolution perk also requires genome mapping and colonial centralization technologies. The perk also provides gene seed purification and gene tailoring as research options. The second technology is really important, and without it, the situation advances at a slower rate. There are two subpaths. Genetic applications involve precise gene modification to achieve desired results as in the base game. Biogenic applications will involve natural genetic mutations tied to your species' biology. With the genetic path taken, the cost of basic traits will be reduced by 1 up to 1 trait point. The genetics tradition tree no longer unlocks clone VATs when adopted. Clone VATs can be researched once you have genome mapping, and just like other buildings, they have two additional tiers. Although the ability to modify species portraits, add negative or additional positive biological traits can be unlocked with the tradition tree, you can also research the following technologies if you don't want to take the Ascension. The Genetic Perfection perk unlocks the second tier of Genetic Ascension. It requires 5 Ascension perks, Galactic Administration and Glandular Acclimation. The situation offers a choice between genetic improvements for everyone or genetic improvements for your species only. As I'm making this video, the outcomes aren't different from another. In the future, genetic improvements for everyone will forbid assimilation and lower trait cost for perfected traits. Improvements for all will allow assimilation and give you a discount to previously unlocked perfected trait tiers. In the end, you will unlock improved traits to modify your species, as well as the genetic archive. This building adds geno-tailor jobs, which offer different bonuses depending on what you've chosen in the situation. The archive also unlocks the recombination decision. The decision starts a situation to improve your traits. You can choose whether to improve main, advanced, or standard traits. Advanced traits have special bonuses, interact with leaders, etc. Standard traits are the ones offering flat bonuses. Main traits gate the tier you can use, although they are not implemented at the time I'm making this video. A single trait can be improved twice, and each improvement offers better effects. With each recombination finished, the traits automatically upgrade, meaning you don't have to create new templates. You can also use the recombination overdrive agenda, which speeds up the process and makes geno-tailors produce unity at the cost of additional upkeep. Next up is Psionics. The Mind over Matter perk now also requires colonial centralization, and it also gives you telepathy and psionic theory as research options, both of which will slow down the situation if they are not researched. This Ascension will have 3 subpaths. The Psionic subpath revolves around the shroud-bound psionic abilities as in the base game. The Psychic path, on the other hand, will focus on sheer mental power, independent of the shroud. There will also be an ethereal path that allows your race to transcend and become beings of pure psionic/psychic energy. The tradition tree now allows you to access the shroud at the beginning. Breach the shroud has been replaced with rites of infusion, which makes telepaths boost psionic pop output, and most importantly, unlocks infused shroud expeditions. To launch them, you need to spend energy and throw. Infused expeditions remove all neutral outcomes and greatly reduce the chances of a negative outcome occurring. The tradition finisher will also allow the shroud to interfere with your leaders and give them new traits, although as I'm making the video, this feature is not in the mod. Moving on to the second tier, the Psionic Ascendance perk requires 5 Ascension perks and Galactic Administration researched. At stage 2, you will discover some of your pops managed to breach the shroud using newly acquired psionic powers. A new situation starts, keeping track of the ritual of ascendance. Each time the second situation reaches its end, a number of pops are removed after they ascend into the shroud. A psionic zone is created, which produces a quarter of throw and increases psionic pop output by 2.5% per ascended pop. The process is very slow at first, but it speeds up as the psionic ascendance situation ends. Near its end, you can gain the throw distillation tech or add it as a research option in exchange for situation progress. With the ascension finished, you can initiate or stop the ascension ritual with a decision. In the future, your species will also get an improved version of the psionic trait after ascension. However, at the time I'm making this video, this feature has not been implemented. To begin the cybernetic path, you will also need integrated cybernetics and colonial centralization to activate the ascension perk. Once activated, you will receive quantum neurolinks as a research option. Without this technology, the situation will proceed at a slower pace. The first situation will allow you to choose between two paths. Cybernetic augmentations involved artificial enhancements for your species, like in the base game, whereas Bioware augmentations will involve biomechanical improvements, which may be less efficient but more compatible. With the situation completed, the Ascension perk also reduces the likelihood of AI uprisings when integrating your population. The tradition tree now unlocks cybernetic assimilation upon adoption. The tradition finisher now only increases organic and machine trait point picks. Evolved also offers plenty of new traits for cyborgs, and at the time I'm making this video, more are on their way. Moving on to the second tier, the Cyber Revolution perk requires 5 Ascension perks already picked, as well as Artificial Specialists and Galactic Administration technologies. Throughout the second situation, random events may occur. Some offer positive bonuses and speed up the situation, while others add penalties and remove situation progress. The situation unlocks new cyber traits, and when it's concluded, a special project appears, which transforms your species into advanced cyborgs. As a result, your leaders and species get upgraded traits with stronger modifiers. If you have other species within your empire, you can assimilate them and give them the superior cybernetics trait. The last ascension path is Synthetics. Synthetic evolution now requires artificial specialists and colonial centralization technologies. The perk also provides artificial administration and artificial personality matrix techs as research options, and without them the situation moves at a slower pace. Synthetic Ascension will have 2 sub-paths. The synthetic path involves creating artificial bodies for your species and abandoning their biological form as in the base game. The digital path will involve turning pops into data in order to transcend and create a new digital realm. Later you'll be able to choose whether you want to keep organic brains or replace them. As I'm making this video, this has no effect, but in the future, the outcomes will determine the direction of your ascension. In the end, the situation transforms your species into synths. If you have other species within your empire, you'll be able to assimilate them into your own. You will also receive the bioreactor technology. Also, when you ascend, the traits are taken into consideration. For example, if you have the intelligent trait, it will be replaced by logic engines. If you're a machine empire, the synthetic H perk also requires colonial centralization. After that, you'll be able to choose between evolved synthetic Ascension and the one from the base game. At the time I'm recording this video, the Auto Singularity Ascension perk is disabled, meaning the second tier of this Ascension is inaccessible at the moment. Now that we covered the main Ascensions, we're gonna dive into mixed paths. They allow you to get the best of both worlds, from psionic, biological, and cybernetic Ascensions. Similarly to tier 2 perks, you will also need 5 Ascension perks and Galactic Administration researched. Hybrid Ascension paths also enable missing features from other tradition trees. For instance, Biopsionic Purity unlocks the Shroud, the Psycorps building, or advanced traits, the ability to add negative traits, etc. The Psi-Imbued Augmentation perk lets you combine cybernetic implants and psionic abilities. The perk gives you psionic theory or quantum neurolinks technologies as research options. Without these two, the situation will not move, so make sure to have them both. At stage 3, 3 special projects can be researched to obtain new traits. Might implants improve your military capabilities, equilibrium implants increase resources from jobs and stability from rulers, control implants improve enforcers and boost government ethic attraction. Halfway, you will get the Zero Distillation tech as a research option, and without it, the situation will pause. Afterwards, you can investigate the applications of Zero infusions, unlocking new traits and buildings. The Phase Extractor produces energy and Zero. The Phase Gate adds various bonuses to your colonies to make them more appealing. The Phase Transmuter adapts its output to the plant designation. The buildings generate an effect called entropy, which boosts their output the more you place them. At the end, your pops and leaders gain the infused Cybernetics trait. You may also assimilate other species and turn them into infused cyborgs. Biopsionic Purity combines the mastery over the genetic code with the knowledge of the Shroud to achieve a psionic potential never before imagined. To launch the situation, you need gene tailoring and psionic theory researched, one of which will be added as a research option. At the beginning, you can choose whether you want to focus on mind or body improvements. As I'm making this video, this is mostly flavor, but in the future, this will have an impact on how you ascend. At stage 2, 3 ways of handling biopsionic species can be picked. Species with combined psionic and genetic improvements can have reduced job upkeep, amenities usage, or pop upkeep. The next stage lets you pick how to handle job upkeep penalties from psionics by converting them into extra production or lower job upkeep. At stage 5, your species and leaders gain the Psionic Purity trait. You also get 5 Biopsionic trait, as well as the ability to assimilate other species, giving them the Psionic Purity trait. Similarly to Cyberpsionics, you will need Zero Distillation to advance further. At the end, you get the Shrine of Convergence and a new edict to activate it. By default, the shrine does nothing, but if you activate the corresponding edict, a number of pops get sacrificed. With each ritual, the building produces more Zero. The ritual lasts 5 years and merges pops to create a converged pop, more efficient than a regular one. There are also convergent traits, which you can use to modify your species, and each ritual amplifies their effects. The last hybrid path is Biocybernetics, also known as the Replicant path. With it you can combine genetic and mechanical improvements to achieve perfection. To launch the situation, you need quantum neurolinks and the gene tailoring technologies, one of which will be a research option. The situation lets you pick 3 replicant templates with different advantages and disadvantages. The standard template has an 80% habitability floor and immortality. The combined template offers lower habitability, but it also has a 25% increase in pop growth and assembly. Replicant traits will also have a reduced point cost by 1. The upgraded template gets a 100% habitability, as well as immortality, and their traits have amplified effects. However, they lose the ability to grow pops. Instead, they have to be assembled. You can only choose once, so pick wisely. At the end, your species and leaders receive the Replicant trait, and just like with other Ascensions, you can assimilate other species into Replicants. You get access to new Replicant traits, as well as Cyberpsionics and advanced genetic traits. Overall, Stellaris Evolved is an amazing mod, and the developers are actively expanding it with new mechanics. Therefore, I encourage you to give it a go, and if you want to support the mod's development, you can support Rodahtnov on Patreon or by leaving a one-time donation. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any mod-related videos. You can also leave a one-time donation using the link in the description if you want to support this channel. I will see you in another video, and goodbye!